my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Oh, well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone.
Hello everybody, welcome to Heidbangers. This is episode 13. I'm Matty, joined tonight by Jack, Charlie, Scott and Alex. How you doing, boys?
Good.
Very good.
Very well.
All good. You've been sitting nice and patiently as well, waiting on me joining as I was running a wee bit behind schedule tonight, but these things happen.
Fading away
These
here.
things happen. So thanks for tuning in. This is our men's mental health discussion. It's open to women as well. If any women want to kind of join in the conversation, you're more than welcome to. But it has been predominantly male orientated until this point. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of the discussion, we should point out that we are not mental health experts, so don't take anything that's discussed on here as advice. That goes for all the Longbangers podcast. Never consider anything we say advice. And if you are struggling a wee bit, reach out to somebody, go and see somebody that knows what they're talking about, i.e. doctor, phone Samaritan, somebody like that, and they'll sort you out, or at least talk to a trusted friend or family member. Right, well, we're kind of basing the episode tonight on things we do that keep us happy. Jack, I will kick off with you. Give you a few minutes to you've been away trip somewhere.
That's it. Aye. So obviously, as a lot of you would have known, I've been in Berlin. I was over in Berlin last weekend there, and I think the reason I want to come on and talk about tonight is talk about doing things that you enjoy that help your mental health. That trip really helped my mental health, and I'm sure a lot of the guys on the podcast know me quite well, and they know how I sort of changed when I was there for the better. So I was looking at flights. I wanted to go back. It's been 3 years, and Berlin's a city I love. I'm so passionate about German football. Obviously, I'm a massive Hertha Berlin fan. I thought I just want to go back and just sort of take in some games. So I was looking at the flights; they were cheap, and the hotels are cheap. And I thought, you know what? I've got the money. I've not been in 3 years. Let's go. Let's do it. And this is the first time I've travelled on my own. Any time I've been on holiday previously, been with my mum or my dad. And I thought, you know what? I'm ready for an adventure. So I went out and I had an outstanding time. So got there on the Thursday night. I was off to Empor Berlin against TSV Rudo in the Berlin Liga, which makes up the 6th division in Germany. That was an excellent night. What I can remember of it, that was an excellent night. So the game was 0-0, but it was actually quite an entertaining 0-0. Had a great time there. I got a free scarf for the team. The team were like, "Oh, take it," And I actually had to end up buying the manager, who was like, obviously it's low league football, so everybody has like 6 jobs. He used also their social media. I ended up buying the manager a pint because he wouldn't take any money for this scarf. I was like, they give me a scarf. I was like, it's a brilliant scarf. You've got to take something for it. So I ended up buying the manager a pint, and then I got speaking to some of their fans. And for a 6th division club, they had a great wee sort of hardcore. And we just went out and had a brilliant time after the game. It was a great laugh. I was trying out my German. We were talking about all different sorts of football. I just had a great laugh. Those were a good group of lads. Got a brilliant group photo outside Eberswalder Strasse U-Bahn station. Feel sorry for the poor lad we hassled to take that group photo for us, by the way. Didn't know what was going on. There was a mental Scotsman and these guys from East Berlin wanting a photo with this Empor Berlin flag. But no, that was excellent that night. All great guys. Had a great laugh with them. Then Friday, it was off to Dynamo Berlin, the record East German champions. But before that, I went to the Berlin Wall Museum because I'm a bit of a history buff myself as well. So went to the Berlin Wall Museum, the new one, and literally spent hours and hours and hours in there. I know that sounds sad to some folk, but I loved it. It was a brilliant new museum with great artifacts and original photos when the wall was built and everything. And I think the Berlin Wall's such an interesting topic for history, so I enjoyed that. But then I was off to the Dynamo Berlin game, record East German champions, as I mentioned, against Tennis Borussia Berlin, which, got to say, that wins for a football team name, Tennis Borussia Berlin. I didn't know many football clubs that mentioned tennis in their name, but that was a great sort of good old fashioned.
Well, there's Wimbledon just to chuck that out there,
but I did forgot about.
Sorry to break your flow there.
Just couldn't resist. More to do with the district of the city. I think Wimbledon's a part of London, But tennis. So anyway, teams that directly mention tennis, because it used to be a ping pong club before they're a football club. And I've just gone like full pelt OCD on my German football knowledge here. But basically that's a big like traditional clash, but it's in the fourth division now, and the atmosphere was excellent again because basically again. I mentioned I was interested in East German football, and one of the guys who was in with the Ultras Bay FC said, "Oh, come and stand with us. We'll be singing for the whole game." And the atmosphere was like amazing, like it's utterly amazing. I had a great time. Again, a great group of lads. I got my photo with the big East Germany flag. Once I mentioned I was in East German football and interested in East Germany, and I had an excellent day. That game, BFC won 1-0. I mean, it was they scored a penalty in like the 86th minute. I was standing thinking, please don't tell me I've come over here and I'm going to see this 0-0s. Please do not tell me that's what. But anyway, BFC scored the penalty. Plenty of bratwurst, plenty of beer. I'm going to say Berliner beer, East Berlin beer. That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. None of that West Berlin nonsense. Drink East Berlin beer. That's the pro. I've got to say, it looked like Wester Hales there as well. Hohenschönhausen in the district, with the big high flats and everything. Proper East Germans. If you didn't ken you were in East Germany, you'd think you were in Scotland, one of the schemes in Glasgow, all the high flats. But you could have been it. Nah, it was excellent, and not everybody was so friendly, and I really enjoyed it. It's a big traditional club, BFC, and that night was just utterly fantastic. And then Saturday was off to the Brandenburg derby, Babelsberg against Energie Cottbus. So Babelsberg from Potsdam, Energie Cottbus, if you haven't figured out already, from Cottbus. And yeah, that's like a big proper night. It's quite funny. So I met up with my mate. This is a guy called Stuart. I've got to give Stuart a shout out. He runs Berliner AK in English over on Twitter. It's an English fan page for Berliner Athletic Club, and he also runs this main club social media. He's quite involved with the club. So him and his friend Gerrit had come all the way over for Koblenz in Western Germany for the game, and those guys went down. Now there was 5 of them went down to Leipzig the next day on the train to go and watch Berliner AK play Chemie Leipzig. So fair play to them. But off to the Brandenburg derby, that was excellent. Of course, people see my photos. I made a new German friend. So a Fraulein. Anyway, I'm kidding. Nah, she was great crack, and she was really nice, and she explaining to me like about the media stuff in Germany. So it was really nice to speak to her. And all the Babelsberg fans were super friendly, and the atmosphere was great. Energie Cottbus won 2-0, and it was brilliant because all these riot police showed up, and there was not a single bit of trouble. I remember there was about like 70 or 80 wagons full of them, and there was no trouble at all at the game. And I thought, the police in Scotland don't even get that tooled up for a like Old Firm. And in Germany, they're showing up to a 4th Division derby with a water cannon and then full riot gear. It's like, nah, but that game was phenomenal. Loads of friendly fans again. Babelsberg, an excellent club. And I went into the club shop to buy myself a shirt. When I mentioned I was interested in East German football, the guy said, "I'll come round here." And he gave me this patch from Motor Babelsberg, which is what Babelsberg Dry were in the East German era. And he said, "Just take it. That's a present from the club." I was like, wow, okay. So that was really sort of nice. And then after that, we went to the Poststadion, which is Berliner Athletic Club's home, and we had plenty of antics there. I went on to the old Terracing, the old abandoned 1930s Terracing. So I got the private stadium tour and onto the old abandoned 1930s Terracing, which was like an amazing experience to see. And apparently, legend has it that Hitler stood on that very spot when Germany played Norway 1936 and stormed out the stadium furious when Norway went 2-0 up. That's a bit of a Berlin urban myth. But the stadium used to be like one of Berlin's biggest. It's smaller now, obviously. It used to be one of Berlin's biggest before the Olympia Stadium was built. So that was Saturday's antics. And then Sunday was the most important. Now, I'm sure people know that I'm a massive Hertha Berlin fan. And I went to the Hertha game. It was my first Hertha game in the stadium for 3 years, playing Stuttgart, an all-important relegation 6-pointer against Stuttgart. I was in the Ostkurve with all the Rajis where I belong. It's funny, it must be about East, because Ostkurve, East Stand, it's like with all the Rajis, like me and Charlie sit at Easter Road and East Stand. So it's all the Ostkurve. The atmosphere is like excellent. Everybody's singing, jumping up and down the whole game. And we won 2-0, which made it even better. I was singing my lungs out for the whole game. The bratwurst was brilliant. The currywurst was brilliant. The beers were flowing. Hertha won. Happy days. And it was just great being in with like a group of like-minded fans. And I've got to say, the amount of new friends I made in Germany that I'm keeping in contact with, I just feel I fit in there. I feel I fit in Berlin. I feel I fit in with like the culture, and I think the football culture and everything that's more geared to how I think. And it was just excellent. And then I didn't want to come home on Monday, quite frankly, but I think that to cut along the short, because people will be getting fed up of hearing about all my nonsense now, is I think going to Berlin helped me discover me a bit as well. I know that'll sound a bit like of a cliche, oh, I went travelling and discovered my. But seriously, I went to Berlin and I think I'd been in a bit of a rut mentally before the trip. I'd been in a big rut mentally before the trip. I'd had a few meltdowns and a lot had been going on. I've been getting a lot of online abuse and obviously what's been going on at Hibs recently has been sort of doing a bit. You know, I know it's hard. Like people that don't really watch football sometimes go, "How do you get like mentally sort of affected by what's happening on a football pitch?" But when you're as passionate about football as someone as myself, it can affect your mental health. And I know that sounds stupid, but you know, and there'd been a lot going on at home as well with my mum, and you know, going on that trip and just being people like having a good laugh with me because I was being myself and enjoying going to watch the football and enjoying talking about what I'm passionate about with like-minded people. Just having that experience really, really helped me. And it's just like showed up that dream of mine that I want to go and live there and I want to go and work there in the sports journalism, you know, in the German football media. So I just think like I really sort of discovered myself and I just really sort of had a brilliant time and felt comfortable in my own skin for the first time in months when I was over there. And yeah,
what was it?
I had the ball and I just fitted in with a great group of people. And I'm so grateful for Stuart, Garrett, Holga, all my mates at Hertha, the Empor Berlin fans, the Babelsberg fans. I'm just so grateful for everyone because I just can't put into words how much of a great experience it was. And like I said, I really just sort of discovered myself again and felt comfortable in my own skin. So it was an amazing trip and I loved every second of it. And
What
it's
was it
about what makes you happy, aye.
What was it you would say you discovered about yourself, Jack?
I think I discovered like that I am passionate, I'm madly passionate about East German football and Hertha Berlin. And you know what? That's something to be proud of. And I can speak German. Yeah, I'm a Raji for Wester Hales that can speak fluent German and knows about East German football and Hertha Berlin. And I love that about myself. And also, it's the part about I know that that's where I want to be. I discovered that I can fit into the culture in Berlin more. And that's my dream, that I want to work in German football and be there. And that really helped my mental health because I know that's an achievable goal. And that's something that I know I can do. And I think it just really, really helped me. I also discovered that I'm proud of myself. You know, it's something that I forget a lot of the time. And again, Charlie, I see Charlie nodding there. You know, Charlie's one of my best mates, if not my best mate. And he knows, like, sometimes I don't give myself enough credit. You know, I can do myself down a lot and I can put myself down and doubt myself. Going to Berlin taught me that, like, there's a lot of folk that like me for me and, you know, how quirky I can be sometimes. And I've embraced my sort of quirkiness and I love it. You know what I mean? I learned to love myself when I was over there. And I know that might sound like cliched and New World Day and whatever, but, you know, I didn't care because that's what it did to me. And that's the effect that I had on me, which I think is a massively positive thing because I needed that. I really needed it because I was in a massive mental rut before the trip. And I think that saved me, to be brutally honest. Like,
how have you felt since coming back? Sorry, Alex.
No, I'm saying at least you discovered that you like currywurst as well. I discovered
I hit my body weight and stuff.
By
the way, sorry, just to like, I know we got a bit serious for a minute there, just to sort of lighten the mood a bit. Curry belletta, you need to try it. So belletta is like a traditional Berlin meatball, but it was lathered in the curry sauce. They put the currywurst in. Top tier scran, right? Top tier scran. Because tell you what, after having roast bratwurst and currywurst, you can chuck the mouldy pies you get at Easter Road after that. It's just right. So anyway, I think ever since, to be honest, like at first when I came back, I was sort of I was like, oh god, it's back to the day to day. But you know what? I've been focusing on chasing the dream more. So today I just levelled out from college because I thought, well, college is just not been going to plan. So I sat down with my lecturers and they were really understanding. And I levelled out. So I realised travelling tourism is not for me. I'd only really done that course because I just was that desperate to leave school at that point in time that I thought I need something because I'm on a learning plan, because of my dyspraxia. The school would not let me leave unless I had a full-time job or was going into further education. I was like that desperate to leave school. I just did that because I was like, I'll be all right. So yeah, ever since I got the sports journalism place at Napier, which has been like huge for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. Basically, I looked at college and thought it's not working out. The college are really understanding. The day was like officially my last day, so I'm leveling out with the HNC. So I've still got a qualification. I'll still get to graduate, which is brilliant. But I think Berlin, like when I've come back, I felt like I'm going to do things for me now. Go do things that make me happy instead of doing what I think will. Because I've always been wired in, and I think I've spoke about the issues I've had with my mum before. I've always been wired in. I need to make other people proud of me instead of being proud, making myself proud of me. And I think coming back, I've realised, you know what, I've got to just do it for myself. You know, I've got to be selfish sometimes. I've got, you know what, I'm not really enjoying this course anymore. I'm getting a bit stressed out. I'm just going to go, you know what, it was a good run, but I want to focus on my sports journalism now because that's what I'm passionate about and that's my dream. And I'm working towards that dream of living in Berlin and hopefully working on like Sky Sports Germany, or working with Sport in Austin or one of the big German TV stations, or doing English language coverage on DFB TV. I know DFB TV stream third division and women's games on their YouTube channel, so doing like English commentary for that. So I think, to answer your question, Matty, you know, that's really helped me realise what I want to do. And I feel like the main feeling of coming back is, you know what, I've got to be kinder to myself and do things that are going to be positive in my life and be positive changes for myself instead of trying to please other people.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you've come back feeling better. I'm also glad you've sorted your college situation out as well, Jack. That's good to hear. And just before we move on to kind of pick up with the other guys on the show, what's German for ping pong? That was one of the things that when you said. So there was two questions I had. Is one, you mentioned the Sixth Division team having a hardcore support. I wondered if you knew the German for hardcore, and then I wasn't going to ask how you knew that. And then I was going to ask if what the German for. Sorry, we're going through a tunnel. We're going through a tunnel. What German for ping pong is.
Ping pong in German is Tisch tennis, which is literally translated table. So Tisch is table and tennis is tennis. And like the hardcore fans, they don't really have a word for it in Germany, really. So for a lower team like
you're telling me Germany doesn't have a word for hardcore?
I mean, but before we get into that sort of filth is reserved for West Germany and Hamburg, okay?
All right.
And Charlie, I see you. Like, I know what you did in the Reaper band, son. What stays in the Reaper band? What happens in the Reaper band stays in the Reaper band. But
I can neither confirm nor deny anything that happened when I was in Hamburg.
I think like at the sort of lower level, you call them like the Zenen or the scenes, the fan scene, the Zenen.
You're right. I was just making a hardcore joke, mate. Sorry, you did trouble yourself.
Oh, see, you're setting it.
I was just being childish.
See, when you talk to somebody with an autistic brain, they're going to take it literally.
Aye. I never take anything I say literally. Like I saw an opportunity for a hardcore guy.
You saw an opportunity for, you know what? I've got to address the stereotypes there. East Germany, that stuff is unacceptable. Although it's a funny story. I know we're going off on a side here. I'm sorry to the other gents here, but in East Germany, this is true. The Stasi, the secret police, they used to gaslight to sort of like mentally torture people that they thought were against the government. And they used to deliberately send sex toys and porn to the house when the wife was home. So the suspect would go out and they deliberately send sex toys and porn to the house when the wife was home to try and like disrupt the marriage to punish them. And I thought, East Germany, what a place, you know. Just saying, yeah. MI6, you could learn a thing or two. On that note, it's become a short bangers episode. So.
I was going to say on to my next question, which was to Alex. I see the banjo up in the background there. Alex, have you ever had a snap banjo string?
Nah, man, I've got 5 strings, no one. So
decent. Decent.
This just went to a dark. Is this going on?
How are things for you, Alex? What have you been up to? Can you keep yourself good?
Recently, music. To be honest, trying to get back into the music that I used to listen to. And I went to Glasgow on Saturday with one of my old mates to see Feeder. And I was like, I didn't really listen to them. There's one of the bands where you go and see them and you're like, oh, fuck, I remember that one. And the gig started off pretty slow and it just got better and better. It ended up being a superb night. So on the way back, and when I got back, I've been looking up who's coming to town and who's, like, it's festival season coming up. Just going to get some gigs booked in. So that's keeping me happy, like having a look at who's coming up. The Killers are coming, the Darkness are coming, the Happy Mondays are playing in North Berwick. That's just...
What?
Exactly, aye. So I'm going to try and get a ticket for that. But that's been keeping me going recently. So I've just got over a 3-day hangover. Aye, and that's pretty much it. I mean, working away, just sticking old music on that I used to love 20 years ago and whatever. So, and then all the bands are announcing like, "Oh, remember we brought this album out 20 years ago." So all news. Yeah.
It's good going to the gigs. I was at the Retro Video Club on, was that last week, the week before? Obviously, we've had Liam for Retro Video Club on Shortbangers, so we said we were going. Apart from the fact that we were almost oldest in the venue, we weren't quite. There was some folk marginally older than us. It was brilliant being back in live music and just being out with a couple of pals and just standing watching a gig. It was. It's been so long since I've done that, and it's an exceptional thing. If you listen to Tristan Yamelin with Gordon, he talks about the connection between music and mental health, and it definitely has an impact. So it's good. Happy Mondays in North Berwick would be a good one to go to.
So telling that to the guys that I was there, and they're like the conversation just went. Like you realise that everybody who was into them when they were at their prime, I'll be a really old man now and wanting to go and do drugs and that. But they'll probably have their bairns with them and whatever. So it should be good, I think. It's part of the festival, and so I hope I can get a ticket for that.
I don't know about you, Scott. How are you doing?
Same old. Now it's changed here. I went into the office today, so that was nice. I'm trying to get out more. And that's about it. I just want to say today, when Jack was in Germany and he was sending voicemails to the group, it was a joy to hear his German accent, and I think he needs to do his accent more because he was hilarious when drunk. And he's like, you know what I mean? And it would slip back and forth into the accent. It was brilliant, and it was just brilliant to hear him being so happy there. So I think that's just great. So
I appreciate that, and if people want to pay me to do that accent, then I'll set up OnlyFans just for the accent.
You could be a translator, so people can understand Scottish.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go for it. There's a business model in there somewhere.
And how about you, Charlie? What have you been up to?
Trying to avoid watching Hibs as much as possible because that is not bringing me happiness at all just now. Very similar to Alex, music's been massive, and I think just discovering new bands as well has been good. So Retro Video Club, never listened to them before, but seeing Liam on Shortbangers and seeing you go, like, I've listened to them a wee bit and really like them. Was at Bad Manners with my dad a few weeks ago, and that was mental. I'd never seen so many skinheads in one room in my life, other than perhaps an EDL conference.
I can beat you with that. BFC, the BFC Ultras.
Well, I was
been a bad alopecia outbreak in East Berlin, eh?
I was thinking that you'd have seen. But just getting to go to gigs with my dad's been good. That was something that we done a few times before COVID, and obviously if now everyone's back, it's good to do that. We've got the darts at the Hydro on Thursday night, start with class. Just trying to do things that isn't football related. I'm glad that we're at that time of the year where the football season's winding down and I can find newer interests over the summer to pique my interest a wee bit. But I also fell in love with Football Manager again, so been just delving at least 3 hours a day on that at night, which has been brilliant, just to lose myself for a wee while. But I doing all right in myself as well. Just music's been great for that.
Do you think
I'm surprised that you've ever been to an EDL conference.
Well, very fair. I can't wait to vote for the Tories on Thursday.
You didn't even say that, not even as a joke.
This is getting recorded.
Aye.
Careful, I think they'll ken you're joking.
How you doing, mate?
All right. Aye. I'm really getting stressed out with bairns. That's the only thing that's causing me issues now. But I think that's normal. It's like part of being a dad. I was trying not to lose the rag. That's sometimes they bother, and then other times you feel like you're just right on the brink of absolutely flipping out. So I come up the stairs the other day to do a podcast, and I picked up my headphones, and the wee microphone was broken on them. They weren't like cheap headphones there. I was like, I think we just lost Scott. There's no one to hear me rant.
Maybe he's on the EDL.
Maybe. I told you. Sorry, Scott, like, I'm only joking. But I try to kind of rationalise it's fairly trivial things, like all the things you could be getting annoyed about in the world. Somebody not doing their dishes or breaking a pair of headphones. It's no that important. So
quite good that's what's bothering you, that, rather than like what it could be far worse. But the trivial things.
That's it. So try to spend my time. I've enjoyed taking the dog out for his walks, so that's nice. He's getting out and getting a bit of exercise. He's coming on as well. He's a bit less a pain in the arse as he has been for when he was like he's still a pain, like, but he's not destroying the house quite so much now, which is a big tick. He's not biting as much as he was when he was a little pup, so that's a big tick. I'm really working on his coming with the pull on the lead when you're taking him a walk. I get dead envious of watching other folk either with the dog just walking beside them when they lead, or on the lead but just still trotting along beside them. As I'm like, my arms coming out my socket trying to stop him bolting away.
It'll click.
Aye, that's it.
Described my dad raising me as a kid.
You just need to stick with it. And then the other thing, be spending trying to get like time with the family, and Jane in particular. We're watching that Ozark. Like, if you've seen that on Netflix, so we'll try to get through like a box set. At least have one of them on the go at any given time. So this would have come recommended, and we've been watching that, and it's great. You can lose hours just kind of sitting watching it. So normally I'll occupy myself with this, then the podcast, driving folk about watching TV or playing Xbox. I've hardly touched the Xbox because we've been that engrossed in Ozark, so it's good. I was going to ask, when we're talking about the music and sort of getting out to gigs and stuff again, have you noticed a difference in your mental health now that the restrictions have lifted a bit from COVID?
Massively.
Definitely.
Just even seeing folk without a mask has been huge for that. Like, seeing folks' faces, like it sounds stupid, but it makes a world of difference when you're having a conversation with someone in a shop, or just it's been brilliant, and just getting everything. It feels like life's back to normal again, but there's always that fear that it could go backwards. But I think I can't see it going backwards now. Like, but I definitely improved my mental health massively.
I've been the same, because I think, like, it was funny because like it was almost like in Germany they still have the masks, so mandatory, and I mean they were strict on it as well. And you have to wear the FFP2 ones. You can't just look like a normal face covering. You have to wear the FFP2 masks. But yeah, it was funny being there, but at the same time, like, I didn't really care, if you see what I mean. Like, it didn't. But here, I'm glad, because COVID really hit me hard, and I lost a lot of friends and everything. And I made loads of new ones, but for me, like, the first bit of COVID was, like, honestly a horrible experience, as it probably was for everybody. And I think it's just so good to see that sort of sense of normality. So you're going about with a mask on, there's no social distancing, you can go to gigs, you can go to the football. But I agree with Charlie, that's just that little niggling anxiety that it could go back. And I think, like, you look at what the hell's going to happen next, you look at the war in Ukraine, and you're like that affects my mental health, because I know people from Ukraine. Obviously met them through the Scotland-Ukraine game, Women's World Cup qualifiers, and I know a lot of, like, Ukrainian people on Twitter and everything through my work on European football, and you go, like, what's going to happen with that? And you feel so sorry for them, and then that sort of puts you in a dark place, because you look at what's happening to their country, and Ukraine's before the war was a beautiful country, really friendly people, really nice people, and you just see, like, they're getting bombed and attacked for no reason other than to please a dictator's ego, you know. So I think it's horrible to see that. So, like, world events can sometimes put you down. So it's like niggling anxiety about world events, and then COVID, because COVID's not gone away. You know, I know, like, other things have taken precedence in the news, in like the cost of living crisis, which has also been a huge one for mental health. You know, but unfortunately I've had a lot of financial arguments with my mum recently, which has sort of descended into nastiness quite a few times, and on both sides. I'm not going to pretend I've been an angel in that situation, but I think, yeah, there's always those little niggling anxieties in life. So it's like brilliant, you know, we're out of the restrictions, but there's things like cost of living, the war in Ukraine, and also the fact that you just don't know the COVID situation could still change at any point, eh? So I think that's one. And for somebody like myself who tends to get quite depressive about things quite easily, it's like worrying times in the world right now, eh? And it's just like a big. But I'm trying to be cheerful. I'm trying to look at like the glass half full side of it, because I think that's the best way to be. But it can be quite difficult when all it is on the news is people can't afford to heat their houses. They've discovered another war crime in Ukraine, or that there's a hospital being bombed in Ukraine. Russia might attack another country. You know, it's really just sort of anxiety inducing, to be honest. So it's like really, really difficult.
Alex,
But,
how
sorry,
do
no,
you? I was going to say, like, are you impacted by these things? If you are, how do you kind of cope with that? Or if you're not, how do you stop yourself?
I don't know. I just kind of keep going with it. I never really. I really don't know how to answer. It's like in Morrison's today, you asked about like the masks and the changes. I remember having a queue when it was like at its peak. You were only allowed in so many people at a time. There was a guy with a clicker and that, and I just walked in the day with a mask, just in you go, and it was all just relaxed and sound, and it was like how it should be. But like going backwards would be hugely shite, but I don't know. I didn't really get overly fussed by it. Like somebody sitting on the train the other day with a mask on. The people I was with weren't they? That was in my crowd. I wasn't either. I was just like, well, some people are still going to do it, others aren't they?
Yeah.
Whatever it's
That's personal preference.
aye. So, but no, I'm not really overly affected. I mean, I'm working alone, so I didn't really. I'm in and out of places that just keep it to myself. So that's about it.
I noticed today that the one way thing for going into Tesco had been removed. So they used to have one door for entry, one for exit, and you could only go in and out. But that had been removed, and so I went out the entrance just because I could. I was like, it's a nice wee novelty to be able to do. It's nice kind of getting that feeling of going back to normal. What about you, Charlie? The world events, that kind of thing. How do you keep yourself in a good place despite what's going on in the world?
Turn the TV off, turn the newspaper off, mute words on Twitter. Mute words on Twitter has been massive, actually. Right, about a year ago, I muted the word COVID on Twitter, and genuinely, my Twitter feed hasn't been any better since. Any worse since. It's been bad at times, but I think just like, and there's been like accounts where like the BBC, I've blocked it on Twitter. The Sun blocked it on Twitter, just because like. It's stuff I didn't want to see. So like, and Matt, you've said it a lot about like the podcast Twitter, like you'll block folk if they didn't interact in a way that would be nice or so. And I've started doing, and I've told Jack it as well. Like, if folk aren't like interacting with you in a way that you would interact with them, just block them because they're no worth it.
Block buttons for it.
And I've found that my Twitter has been a lot better because I've started doing that. So I definitely, when stuff like that, like. It's obviously sad to see the stuff in Ukraine, but to be honest, I didn't read much about it because I didn't have the possibility to read about it unless I actively search for it.
Yeah, I think the mute and block button's been my friend recently. You know, I think we don't need to go into the reasons why because I think it's pretty well publicised what happened with that. But basically, a load of stuff kicked off as it always does on the internet. You know, it happens, and you know what? Instead of in the past, I'd sort of dwell on it and go, oh. Instead, I was like, well, you're a bit of an arsehole. Block. You know, done. That's it. Out my life. Out of sight, out of mind.
Can you unblock me again now, please?
well, we'll have to speak about that, Matty. We'll have to speak about that later. But basically, for me, like, Twitter's basic. For me now, my Twitter's basically fully just what I want to see. So I thought, like, my dad's done, but my dad's been great with this as well. He said, look, son, it's not a democracy. It's your Twitter. You know, if there's folks saying things you don't want to. Obviously, I don't mean it's not a democracy, and I'm not like going on a power trip and being like the dictator and going right nah. But nah, like my dad's like it's your Twitter. So if there's things you don't want to see, or people being nasty to you, just go ahead. That block button's your friend. And Charlie's been saying that as well. And you know, I've taken it to heed. I used to be quite worried because when I was sort of having problems with the people that I had problems with in the past. I blocked them, and then loads of nasty stuff started happening as a result. So I used to be quite scared to block people. So I'd actually take abuse because I was worried that, oh, well, if I don't block them and I can't see what there's... But you know what? I've literally genuinely learned, you know what? I don't give a stuff what these people are saying about me. You can call me for everything. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, you're inconsequential in my life. You know, I'm in a good place. I'm on a good track. So you know what? I don't care about your hate because I've got a lot more people giving me support. And that's what I care about. That for every person that gives me hate, there's 10 people giving me support. So I don't care about the hate. So yeah, the mute and block button's been my friend massively. And you know what? My Twitter's such a positive place right now. All the engagement I've been getting on all my different things. And I've genuinely just been a lot happier person ever since I started using the mute and block button for what they were for. And I've muted loads of words. And you know what? The other thing I've got to say now is I don't look at the replies to Hibs official tweets anymore, because that used to be one that really rattled my cage. And I just don't look, and that's helped me. And the other thing is, like, I think there used to be about like a certain level of, I watch it, it's like a train crash. It's as much as you shouldn't look at it, you want to. So I used to go like, there's going to be something in here that's going to wind me up, but it's sort of like it was sort of like a form of self-harm, actually, if I look back on it.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get annoyed at this. I know I'm going to get wound up and depressed by it, but I'm still going to look anyway, which is a thing that I'm like, again, my dad was really helpful with this, just saying, look, son, don't look at it because you know you're going to wind yourself up. I don't anymore. Literally, if it's something I know that's going to be getting a negative response, I don't look at it. I just go and like, okay, oh, look, there's an interesting story about this German team, or oh, there's an interesting story about this football manager that this guy's doing, or whatever. So I look at the stuff I want to see, and I look at stuff that I know is going to be positive for me. And my experience on social media recently has been a really, really good one. You know, my Instagram's been great because obviously I was updating people on my trip. So my Instagram's been great recently, and my Twitter's been great recently as well. Facebook's never a problem because, you know, I usually just keep Facebook for like keeping in contact with the family and everything. So I've got quite a big extended family, so I usually just keep it for them. And then, but Twitter and Insta is what I use for my journalism stuff. It's been really positive recently, and I'm really happy at that, because before I used to get very badly affected by stuff I saw on social media, but now it's like, again, I was told going back there, I don't care about the hate. Literally, I've got so much positive stuff online. That's what I'm going to focus on. If you're going to be an idiot or you're going to be nasty, you're blocked, you're out of my life. I couldn't care less about you. And all I'm going to say is best of luck to you. If you want to get your kicks out of being a nasty person, that's what you've got to do. You know, I respect that. That's your life choice. It's your life. That's your choice. But my life choice is I want to be happy, and I want to sort of contribute in an effective way that's going to be a bit more positive. So I always think like my Twitter's a bit different, you know, instead of the usual sort of effing and seeing or whatever, you know, I just try, that's aimed at you, Alex. I'm kidding. Instead of that, you know, I just try and teach stuff about football and try and like not educate people, but you know, you give some people a bit something interesting, or I talk about what I'm passionate about. And if people come along and are interested in that, then I'm all for it. So yeah, like my social media experience has been a lot more positive. Again, that comes back to doing things that help your mental health. How positive I've made my social media now has actually helped me massively in the past couple of weeks. I'm really, really happy about it.
Well, speaking of somebody that never wound anybody up on Twitter once, ever at all, I think it's like it seems to be the place where, like, if you can't say something, if you've not got something good or nice to say, just stick it on Twitter. But like you can ignore it. But if you're reacting to it, then they've got what they wanted.
Exactly.
So that's the way to look at it. So thanks for saying that.
Well, great. I think we're about out of time for the night. That's a good conversation, Jack. Glad you had a good holiday, mate. And you'll need to update us when you go on your next one. Hope it's not too long till you get to go.
I'm already saving up now.
Good stuff. Alex, Charlie, thanks to you both as well for your contribution tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back with short bangers on Thursday, so get your questions in for that. Friday for non-subscribers. We're thinking of changing that as well, by the way, bringing it forward the night for subscribers. So subscribers will get it on Wednesday, non-subscribers will get it on Thursday like we did before. We're just trying to fit in a busy schedule. We're just seeing. So stay tuned anyway. If you want to subscribe, go to longbangers.hubbwave.net and you can sign up there. It's only £3 a month and it all goes to a good cause. It's a good cause. It goes to us, like that's what I'm classing as a good cause. We're not doing it to charity, just to be absolutely clear. Right. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time.
County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink